Thanks for tuning in to Mental Health at Home. This video series is a partnership between NAMI Juneau and the Juneau Suicide Prevention Coalition in recognition of Mental Health Month in May. I'm Rachel Gearhart. I'm a clinical social worker who's licensed in Alaska, and I work at JAMI Health and Wellness. And today I'm going to be discussing talking to a friend or a loved one about their suicidal thoughts or ideation. So, suicide ranks as the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause of death for people who are aged 15 to 34 years old. So, the latest data we have is from 2018, and in that year, there were more than 48,000 deaths by suicide. There's also an attempt every 26 seconds and more than a million attempts each year. So what we know from that information is that you're likely in your lifetime at some point to have a friend or a loved one who will experience suicidal ideation at some point. So what are you going to do if a friend or a loved one tells you that they're having thoughts of suicidal ideation? And just to be clear, I'm going to refer to suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation interchangeably today. First, you're going to want to thank them for sharing that really important information with you. Even though you might be really uncomfortable with it, it can be as simple as saying, "Wow, I'm so glad you told me. Thanks." You want to recognize how difficult it probably was for them to tell you that. And you also don't want to make promises that you can't keep, like, "I won't tell anybody," or "Everything's going to be okay." Do be reassuring, though, in a way that conveys there is help to be had, because there is. Though some of you watching out there might be, chances are you're not a mental health professional, so don't try and be a therapist to your friend. Instead, be a listening ear who helps find resources, and we're going to list some resources when we post this. Now, what if you think your friend or loved one might be experiencing suicidal thoughts or ideation, but hasn't said anything to you? Maybe they've done something or said something that threw up some red flags for you. So don't let comments like, "I won't be here next year anyway," or "It doesn't matter if I'm around," go without asking how they are. Familiarize yourself with warning signs of suicide and ask. And when I say ask, I truly mean the words just ask, "Are you thinking about suicide?" Some people think that if you use the word suicide with somebody who isn't suicidal, it's going to put it in their mind. And that's a myth. Your friend will appreciate your willingness to talk about it if they are, and if they aren't, they're probably going to be totally fine saying, "No, I'm not suicidal, but thanks for asking." Using euphemisms isn't helpful. They can mean different things to different people and can show your friend that you aren't comfortable talking about suicide or that you're not taking them seriously. So just use the words, "Are you thinking about suicide?" If they say no, feel free to share why you asked, what your concerns were, and that will show them that if they do have suicidal thoughts in the future, that you're someone they can turn to and be honest with. If they say yes, thank them for their honesty and commit to seeking help together. Convey to them that you asked because you care about them and you did want to know an honest answer. So, next, how do you get help? Well, use local or national resources like a crisis line, a local mental health provider that provides emergency psychiatric services, or always 911. And stick with it. Just because there might be delays in getting an appointment or having someone return your call does not mean that help is not available. Be a calm, persistent presence, especially in this time of lack of physical distancing. Even if you're on the phone or on video, or maybe you are in person with them. Often, people who are having suicidal thoughts or intent report feeling alone, even when they aren't. You'll both be glad that instead of running away when they shared an uncomfortable topic with you, that you ran towards them and you ran for help together. You're also going to want to ask your friend for what you can do to help them. That's always encouraged. But you should know that asking specific questions instead of broad questions to offer help, like, "Can I drive you to your therapist appointment tomorrow?" Or, "Can I help you dispose of old medications or extra medications you've got around the house this afternoon?" is more likely to elicit help than something like, "Hey, you know I'm always here. Just call me when you need it." People who are having thoughts of suicide often think differently than they normally would because of emotional pain or desperation, and they might have trouble with complex information or complex conversations. They might have trouble following through. So remember, to be kind is to be clear, and to be clear is to be kind. You also might need to stick with your friend throughout periods of suicidal ideation, and that can look like calling or video chatting more often, offering to be a part of their safety plan that they've developed with a mental health provider, helping decrease their access to legal means like guns, knives, vehicles, or medications, asking them more than once if they're thinking about suicide, or any number of things. In suicidal moments, people are often not at their kindest and won't always accept your attempts to connect, so keep trying. Your patience and encouragement is important. When your friend looks and feels better, you're not off the hook. Let's be clear. In the first 3 months following a deep depression, it is critical to stay connected and remain observant. What looks like happiness or peace of mind to you might really be them having resolved to die by suicide, so don't quit asking. I realize this is a really big topic. Is this still feeling pretty big or overwhelming to you? That's okay if it is. Just remember that doing anything with love and a conscious effort is better than doing nothing and assuming that you know what your friend or loved one is thinking or going through. Just ask if a friend or loved one is thinking of suicide and ask for help. I want to give a special thanks to our Friends for Survival and the American Association of Suicidology for their really helpful facts and figures. And thank you for listening. Though we're at a distance, we can still connect. If you are or a loved one are in a crisis situation or need to talk, call the care line at 877-266-HELP, HELP, or text HOME, HOME, to 741-741. Thanks again.